What up, gang? You ever see that video where the guy goes around with his wife and he's like, "What up, gang? I be feeling like that every morning." Now, today's an interesting day. Now, if you remember what we talked about on our last video, yeah, I gave you some targets, I gave you some ideas, and I also gave you a very specific thought. And again, going into more detail in my mentorship in my Discord, obviously. So like just to remind you that like yeah, pay attention to what we talk about here. It's going to help you. But I'm basically like talking in parables on YouTube versus like being as clear as I possibly can be in Discord. So when I'm speaking about some of this stuff, right? I told you that this week you need to get ready because it's going to be a long range week. Now, let's see who is paying attention. When we last spoke, right? We talked mainly about obviously the NASDAQ, but when it comes to your daily chart, and let's like clean this up a little bit. So you see how again we talked about your daily chart, right? And we talked about daily fair value gap. All right. Now, what do we do today, which is your Monday, right? This is your Friday, the 24th. This is your 27th, okay? All we did was what? Another fair value gap. And what? Remember the target that I gave you. Monthly gap, right? Like I said, you can try if you want to. I already know I'm correct about it. This is your target. Been telling you this since last video. Let's keep that in mind, okay? However, as we actually go downward, right? Seeing how things look even from a weekly perspective. And I totally understand. My bad, I'm drinking tea. I really like green tea with the lemon. You're smoking? Oh my God. Bruh, I'm just so happy, man. Like I always say this, right? Like, I understand it's like my 10 plus years of experience with this, but you guys will arrive the same way that I prioritize like being good with actual price action and narrating. And like it's not just like jumping onto trading charts and being like, yo, where's my entry, 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 entry? Like, and on top of that, like, yes, we talk about again that word algorithm a lot. What that means, it's not trying to hide from you. All the stuff that it's doing for us is like plainly like in our faces. So like, yes, we talk about this monthly gap down here. And again, all you see that like everything's mitigated, right? That means everything's either taken out or traded underneath or whatever. So we took out this low. See this right here? That's what we're coming towards. All right. That's the next one. The reason why I'm seeing this from a weekly chart, this is just easy to see, right? Now we took out a different low down here. I'll show it to you in a moment. Now, Even I was thinking like, is that the same? No, it's not the same one. But like, watch this. Ready? When we're thinking about again, just this monthly gap down here, right? There's really nothing down here, literally. So when we talk about like objectives again, right? Your actual target is the gap. But like I said, the only other low that we had was this blue line, right? So I'm talking like this whole day, we took out previous day's low, obviously, right? And on top of that, let's actually change color. I like that. Yeah. Now, this is the thing, all right? I need you to be understanding of this. Let's jump down here and talk about the lower time frame. Now, like we said, we've been doing a lot of work with the daily gap. So that's up here. Daily gap, right? So even on your higher time frame, they're kind of still confirming the what? The high time frame bias, right? Okay. So that means no, we are not giving a fuck about all this up here. No, we are not giving a fuck. Now, if you're like a basic level ICT trader and you're trying to get better, like I understand right now, like it's gonna feel like it's super hard to see like what you're actually using and what you're not, right? So like even today when people are saying like, oh my God, like what happened? Like how do we oh my God, I told you on the last video, if you were watching, you need to prepare yourself. It's gonna be a long range week. I'm not going into the details of why, but like you're seeing on the screen, in general, we talked about the quarter, right? So yes, Q3 is bigger ranges, but I'm talking specifically about this week. You need to get ready. Okay. Now, that being said, we had this daily gap, but over Sunday and Monday today, just dump down here. Let's go to the 15th. Now, Captain Obvious. All right. This was that sell side liquidity. All right. Then we also have again, um, opening gap. If you're unfamiliar with opening gaps, yeah, brother. I totally get it. If you are thinking in Asia, because we all love to trade Asia, that you are supposed to come in here and just smash everything immediately the moment we open, right? And again, it's a huge opening gap. I understand how you feel. But what I need you to do, right? You still need to care about AMD first, however you're defining it. Okay. So if you're caring about 90-minute cycles or you're caring about, again, having some sort of ID to the cycle you're trading. Okay. If you can't tell me if we're using AMD or X or XAM or D, if you can't tell me what cycle we're on, brother, you might as well shut it down and start studying again. Okay. Now, that's the thing. How we caught this trade very early today. And again, we're talking about Q3, already expecting big range. Okay. So when we're already looking at this objective here, opening gap. You notice how they danced around it all night? Like, didn't quite get there. Every time they point down, didn't quite get there. Pointed down for a second, and then boom, just demolish everything, right? Yeah. Now that's the thing. Okay. I want you to get to a point where, like, you're not freaking out about core liquidity, dog. It's easy. Yeah, that's the thing. Are you somebody who's freaking out at 9:30 still? Why? It's my thing, okay? You need to figure out exactly why you're having this thought still that you can't touch this thing until a macro. Now, in saying that, how I said it before, let's go to 9:30 and then go to this macro. All right. So you got your opening gap down here, right? Now, this is the thing. What's happening here? Now, since we already saw all of the targeting today, and my Discord and I took this trade pretty early in the day. So like it wasn't 9:30, it wasn't any of this stuff down here. All we did was wait for a nice PD array. So this gap was formed right around 9:15. Okay. So right after this 9:15 fair value gap, I simply just waited for some context to come downward. As soon as I saw a nice candle toward that liquidity, it was go time, brother. And like we said, this is us expecting already long range day. So no, I'm not taking this trade as a scalp how I usually would. And again, why I would typically take it as a scalp is because of the time. Okay. So like I said, this being 9:18, 9:17 area, right? Opposed to like a again 9:30, which is right here. Now at 9:30, what is this doing? All this is doing for me is confirming the bias, dog. All right. Now, Jay, oh my God, but if I sold it right here, it would have fucked me up, right? Yeah, they would have. But guess what? That's why we sold it up here. You got to understand that, yes, like, and I say this all the time to my students. I'm not going to explain it in super detail for you, but I'm saying in general, when is it appropriate to care less about time? When is it appropriate to take a trade before the macro or before 9:30 or when I'm able to trade from like a 7 o'clock or an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock instead of like your standard optimal trade entry time. Why would I trust that? I need you to start asking these questions to yourself. And like we said, whether you're using the levels, you also need to know when things are being activated. It's not just you coming again by itself just to 9:30 or just to the macro, right? Because like I said, you do get a full use of the macro. It works perfectly. Don't get me wrong, right? So this is a 1 minute chart. Again, you color outside the line just for a second, right? Which do the damage. But that macro right here at 9:50 essentially does the job for you. It does the freaking job, dog. You get what I'm trying to say. There's nothing wrong with the macro. I'm trying to make sure you understand that. But what I'm saying is, you see the difference in this? The difference literally in this is 700 plus ticks, bro. Again, you have to understand the context of when it's offered early versus when it's offered during a standard macro or standard OTE. These are two completely different narratives. Now, on top of that, you're probably somebody who, if you traded this today, you probably used just this gap, right? Now, like I said, we color outside the lines just slightly just for the wick, right? But I want you guys to get better with these things. So if you're not actually good with the breaker, you might want to get better at that. Breaker has a lot of function. I'm not going to go into all of them, but they do have specific narratives with your breaker that are presenting continuation function. Then you have a reversal function. Not going to go into the details of either one, but you understand my perspective when you're looking at the order flow. So no, if you're not seeing the breaker, it's not the end all be all. Again, you could just use the gap. You're good to go. Okay. Now that being said, right? Once we took that entry right around that 917, 918 area up here, okay? Do you see where again the objective? Why are we not tripping? Because we know where to go, brother. Okay. We understand that this gap, right, needs to be filled. Yeah. And like we said, liquidity is right here. So, yes, as we come down, this is 915, right? And I'm already above the gap in general. So, if I'm already aimed there and I have liquidity and I have a target, what am I going to do? What? Watch it? Now, you tell me, even just from the 5 minute, was this a good trade? And if this is 915, this is 920. So you're like right here. Huh. So catching almost 3,000 ticks, you tell me, is that a good trade? You tell me. Now, this is the thing, right? Now, let me show you real quick how we set it up. Show you something real quick. Mm-mm-mm. Now, it's the thing. We talk about gold back levels. We talk about dealing ranges. We talk about like having confirmation, right? So like I want you to get to a point where you're not freaking out about like what's obviously in front of your face. You get what I'm saying? So like when it comes to like the turtle soup or like anything relevant, right? Especially with like core liquidity. You got to be willing to like not overcomplicate this shit. So like for example, all right? If the objectives are literally all underneath you, right? When it comes to a turtle soup, everybody over complicates this shit, right? We got that locked. We're gonna get rid of that. Now, there's always somewhere on your screen, there's always a turtle. Classic ICT rules. You want to be seller above what? Highs. You want to be buyer under lows, right? Now, in general, if we're thinking about that exact thing right there, right? Did we take out any highs? You tell me. Now, even if you are not using that one, there's more than one to use, brother. Okay. So, what I'm trying to get you to effectively do is understand like, you need to be a seller above a what? Above a high, right? Yeah. Now, this is again the starts of the week, so it's a Monday. This is already a X cycle, so we're already coming into a distribution of the day. All right. Now you can obviously see that it wasn't just the gap that was the target. Like I said, we were able to take liquidity. Now, when it comes to that monthly target, right? As you can see, we're still dropping, right? So all we did so far was go into a gap and drop back out of it. I do expect lower prices still throughout the week, or at least until we get to my gap, which is down here. Okay. Now, that being said, if you're somebody who's feeling like extremely anxious because you didn't catch this or didn't feel good about this, you got to get to a point where bro, listen, are you freaking out when you see that perspective? Bro, just hit the button at that point. Seriously. Like, I understand what you're going to say, but like, oh, well, I don't know where it's going to go. Like, oh, they took all the targets and like, I didn't expect it to go this far. Like, hey, I understand what you're saying. I understand. But you got to get to a point where like everything that like all the context here led to the same result. Whether you're using all the same targets or if you're coming in here and saying, you know what? And you know my teaching style, we're always going to do go back level second, always. But so if you're not understanding, oh my God, what's the bias? Where's the target? So like you need to just make sure you're understanding where your levels are. So for me personally, we talked about like 2187 and down, right? We talked about 2187 and 729 coming into again in general a New York or coming into any session, it's going to set that vibe, right? So as you understand it, man, you see where we started it today. Jinkies, right? Now, like we said, this is nothing but new liquidity down here. Okay. So I hope you left a runner. But do you see my point, right? A lot of people are going to freak out because they're not understanding where we are in reality. So we talk about the turtle soup up here. And again, what do you want to do above a high? You want to be a seller, right? So we got some sellies. If you didn't take sells already, I know you jumped in eventually as you saw that bitch being aggressive. And we took our targets, right? Now, as we're coming down, okay, we are trying our best to get to that monthly gap. You get what I'm saying? It's huge. But like we said, you can't freak out about like the actual context. So this is nothing but another fair value gap up here. What was it like the hour fair value gap? No, it was even smaller. 15. Yeah. There we go. So there you go. But like I said, you can't really overcomplicate your narrative. Like you don't have to be adding 17 parts to it. You don't. And again, what you need to also figure out is like, again, I'm glad you probably did trust it from the macro, which is down here. It's plenty, bro. It's plenty money. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to trust it from the macro versus going early. But I'm telling you, there's a way that I can teach you how to trade early versus just doing that. And again, like stop doing this thing where you're like overly trying to change the bias. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, and then oh, they stopped me out. Like, bro, because we're literally downside. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Everybody's trying to change the bias every 10 seconds. And I understand. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you're still thinking that this is like the end of the line or that was like the very end of no, it's not the end of it. We got places to be, if that makes sense. Now, in terms of the ranges, right? Like we said, not just the 5 minute perspective, but come up a little bit and you'll see the level that we were messing with today. Now, you notice something, all right? Where's your fair value gap? In fair value gap, right? And even like realistically speaking, um, I want you to get to a point where like you're not freaking out about like any of this like retracement stuff. You need to narrate instead of just going, "Oh my God, the bias, the bias, the bias." No, just understand that liquidity is like a part of the game. So you need to be patient and then let them make liquidity. Okay. Now, like we said, we have some other place to be. So if we are on 2087 and we're coming down, I'm talking like, oh, it's a big range. Let's check out the 729 also. Now it's going to feel more contained, right? Now, you notice how we stop right on EQ. And again, the breaker level, like I said earlier, it has a reversal and a continuation function. So why do you think we reverse right from a breaker level? See that? And why do you think we reverse right from a breaker level? Okay. It's a lot of shit going on here, but it's easy. Okay. Now, us playing around or even like stagnant at this moment, again, just because of your EQ. Okay. But we have places to be, brother. So you see how, again, the low of my 729 interacts with that same what? The low of my 729 is right here. See that? Am I organized or am I organized? This is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to not freak out about what the marketplace is doing. You need to get to a point where, especially when you're here with me in the summertime, bro, this is a simple setup. And like I said, this is a simple target. We already know where to go. And do you see what I do constantly? Like, I'm constantly making sure I see everything. So I might redraw something like two, maybe even three times. And not just because I'm showing you something, but it's also because I'm like making a list and I'm kind of checking it twice. Does that make sense? So like I'm also getting to a point where you see like just in general, right? I switch time frames. I try to see what's going on. So where I see not just the gap that was used up there, right? So like we see that. And we're going to mark all the newly made ones. So like we said, just in case if we do get a retracement or something, we know exactly like where we're going. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, we can mark this top one too. I mean, it's not like the priority at the moment, but I will keep it marked for a moment. Yeah. So again, do you see like the perspective of the 1 hour? And again, the perspective of that 4 hour? Are we downside or are we downside? What do you think? Also, where's the lighter? We are downside. And like I said, brother, if you want to start being able to catch better trades or start being less worried about your situation when you're trading, you gotta learn how to fully narrate. You gotta be a market structure expert, brother. You gotta know what's going on here. I understand you're gonna look at the levels and say, you know what? Oh, we could do this, we could do that. But then you get to a point where you're like, you know what? There's really only like one thing happening right now in reality. Doubt. The number one thing that I say for last, real quick, when you came into New York today, were we above midnight or below? This yellow is by midnight light. Were we above or below this line? And like I said, this is 9:15. This is 9:30. The difference was over 700 ticks. If you caught them at the apex right at 9, above midnight, before liquidity, and you have nothing but sell side objectives, you sure you don't want to take sells up there? I'm going to let you answer that question. However, brother, being, I mean, we damn near 3,000, almost 3,000 ticks. We caught like 2,800. Uh, if you still think trading is hard, bro, let me know. I'm here to help you. Trading is not that hard, bro. You just overcomplicate it. But we got to know the actual market function, not just gold back function. Does that make sense? Let me go. I'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Mentorship is starting this week. Oh, I'm so excited for you guys. Oh, my God. I'll see you guys later.